Hello everyone, I am Tacet, and today I'm going to be going over the Gems of War General Mayhem event, in which the Khatib Tahir is added to the game. So let's get into that. As far as his trait stone, he is an epic, so it will be red-blue trait stones for only 200 glory each. Of course, the full pack is 400, but it's the cheapest you can ever get trait stones as far as arcane trait stones, as far as their cost per each of them. Earlier on in the game, you'd want to throw this into Deep Boar, Bonnie Rose, Ice Goblin, and Merline. And later on in the game, you could put it into Mirage Queen, which is really good with things like Sunbird and Elemental combos, Tesla for true damage, and Crimson Bat for true damage, as well as applicable mythics. As far as the troop itself, it's under the category of 100% useless troops. I'm not sure why they keep adding this type of troop, but they do. It gives a bunch of life to an ally and 5 attack. And if the ally is a human or of a certain type, it gives double the effect. Every single one that does basically this kind of concept to a certain type, they're all useless. There's not a single one of them that is useful, and you can pretty much just ignore this typing of troop. Similarly, just ignore this troop. So no real purpose that this thing will have. It's just going to be completely dead content, similar to other troops of that typing. You still want to get it for purposes of upgrading, though. Leonis Empire, as of right now, I believe, can reach 12 stars. Yeah, it can reach up to 12 stars right now, up from what it was previously. So if you happen to have everything for that, you'll obviously need them for a whole additional star. So you will want it for that purpose. As far as event stuff this week, we do have 10% to all humans and 10% to all knights. This is somewhat useful, as there are quite a few human knights in the game that would end up getting 20% this week that you might be able to build teams around. And other than that, if you use the troop in PvP, you do get 5 additional glory for this week. However, you probably don't really want to mess with that much, because we do have a Vault event this weekend that'll be running from Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And one single glory gnome from that Vault event is pretty much going to be how much extra glory is going to give you for an entire hour. So you might as well just farm that Vault event and just kind of ignore this plus 5 glory, as it's going to be pretty trivial relative to how much you'll be able to get this weekend from grinding the Vault event and Explore in other various locations. As far as the event keys, it is for Leonis Empire right now. So if we go and check our troops, as far as the Leonis Empire drops, we can see that there are a few that are kind of worth it. And by a few, I mean pretty much just Corvash. There's Corvash, there's Divine Ishbala, and I believe that's as far as the drops really go. I guess technically, if you don't already have Tagraki maxed out for Bounty Hunter, even though Bounty Hunter just previously happened the other week, it is pretty good to have this thing maxed if it's not already, as that is one of the best, if not the best, bounty troops due to how much true damage he can do, while also having 25% score reduction. And he also gets a bonus against undead if that's ever relevant. But the main two that are relevant from this kingdom, of course, that are higher rarity that you'd want to actually be sought after are Corvash and Divine Ishbala. Divine Ishbala is a divine support, obviously. Used to have 50% mana start, but because it was so overpowered, it actually got down to 40%. Still insanely good troop even at 40%, due to its double convert and just how many good divines there are that synergize with it. And Corvash, while there are slightly better options to Corvash these days, it still has a good double true damage, as well as a double mana drain and a double stun. It also has one of the better stuns, though not the best anymore in the game. Of course, ever since Obsidius came out, he's been slightly less relevant, since there's a better stunner than him now. But he's still one of the most noteworthy stunners in the game, and he's the best one that isn't a mythic. So in that regard, he has the lower rarity on him will make it a little bit easier. Also, speaking of mythics, there is a mythic from this kingdom. However, it is a pretty useless one, is Voice of Orpheus. The biggest counter that Voice of Orpheus is for is against Silence, because it's currently the only thing in the game that has both Impervious and an easy cleanse. At least currently. There used to be more, but they ended up nerfing them, so Voice of Orpheus would be the only one. Still, to this day, it's not really used for much, though, unless you desperately need cleanse against Silence, and Silence is not really that meta at the moment, but it might be into the future, and whenever it is, Voice of Orpheus would be pretty good for it. It's kind of like an inverse Famine as far as its ability, but overall, you mainly just want to be looking out for Corvash and particularly Divine Ishbala, as far as if you're going to be opening event keys this week. It's a week that you might want to skip. However, if you need those 2 legends, it might be worth considering to use a few to at least try for it. As far as the event this week, we have Invasions. As far as Invasions and what team to use, I've personally been using a double Suladin, or General Suladin, with a Dawnbringer and a Holy Saint Astra. To make this team even quicker, all you have to do is simply put a Alchemist there. It also makes it cheaper, of course, while doing that. So I'll just show it within Alchemist. If we do end up going the Alchemist route, we actually, we don't need to switch the banner. I guess we could switch to a double yellow if we really want to, but that banner actually still works. So we'll go to this, since some people might not have a Dawnbringer on hand. And all we really need to do here is get Alchemist up or basically we double cast with this, get Alchemist up, and then we just get their mana back up again. So for the area where you can actually get into one-shot range, all you have to do is double one-shot, get Alchemist on alignment. Unfortunately, we don't have one right here, though that would be ideally what would happen. I guess we'll go give them enchant, because why not? Alchemist, still no good option. Oh, yes, you do. Okay. And then we just get that, ideally, right into immediate full mana. Looks like this battle, it is going to be a little bit slower than that. I'm actually going to preemptively take that, just so our enchant can go get it up. Oh, he is going to gain a barrier there. Oh, you know what? I should have taken Skull, but oh well. We do, of course, have the extra damage on Skull, like all the other siege troops normally would, in which they do 3 to 5 times additional damage based on their Ascension. It also has 25% score reduction, which stacks with the other 25% score reduction. And overall, it's going to be a pretty easy invasion, since he does have pretty much all the kit that you would need to be able to work with invasions. He also, due to Leonis Empire troops on your team, ends up getting slightly higher damage, 4 additional damage each. And given that he has the boost ratio off that, that's potentially 20 additional damage per Leonis Empire troop. Of course, if you do that with a Warpriest with your hero there, that could be, if you're using 3 of them, that could be up to 60 additional damage. Though you're almost always going to want to put a Holy Saint Astra if you have it on you. This ends up giving all humans 50%, and since the event is restricted to humans only, it'll help to start all your troops with half mana. And with that, combined with enchant, it'll make it so you pretty much automatically get all the mana you need for the event. So it's going to be a pretty straightforward, easy event as far as invasions this week, at least for the lower to mid range of doing the event. As far as things throughout this week, on Tuesday, we're going to be having Sunken Fleet. On Wednesday, we are getting an extremely cute kitty. It is completely cosmetic, though it is adorable. I believe it's for International Cat Day or something. So, yeah, we'll have that this Wednesday, so definitely make sure to go get that. Thursday, we will be having a Warpriest hero class event. Warpriest is pretty irrelevant. It is an extremely bad hero class, though the only noteworthy thing it has going for it is it's currently the only hero class that has any kind of perk that has stun. Though there are way, way better stunners out there. It is a pretty bad stunner, but still the only hero class that naturally has it. So in that regard, I guess it's okay, but still one of the weakest hero classes in the game, so do be wary of that if you're going to be doing that at all. Probably just one worth skipping. And of course, this Friday and for the weekend, as I already mentioned, we will be having a Vault event, and that Vault event will be increasing the chance of finding gnomes as well as Vault keys from those gnomes, meaning not only will we be able to farm things like Cedrics and other valuable drops, but you'll also just be able to find a lot of gnomes that will just generally give you a lot of useful things, like souls, glory keys, and other various resources that are sought after. Other than that, as far as troops, there is one thing worth crafting this week, and that is Ferrous Raw. Ferrous Raw, of course, being the best soul farming option in the entire game. Not good for much else other than soul farming, but if you been needing to get the soul farm grind done, really great when synergizing with Dragon Soul and other similar soul farming methods, like Dark Troll and stuff, and Valkyrie. It does a lot of damage to a single target, but it's mostly used for 150% soul gain, which does stack with itself if you happen to have gotten multiple of it, like 2 of them or other necromancies, and they all stack to be able to increase your amount of souls. And unlike some stacking in this game, they do stack multiplicitly, so 2 150% will be 300% gain. So they do give their full value a percent, unlike some other things within this game. So really, really good bonus. And if you don't have other things, you could just do it with Necromancy. If you have like 2 Necromancies at 250%, since they fully stack into each other. And yeah, 250% extra souls, quite a bit. And his base 150, pretty nice. Other than that, Shade of Zorn, while he is one of the worst mythics in the entire game, if I'm not mistaken, this is the first time he's been in Soulforge. So if you are towards later in the game and you already have most of the mythics in the game, this is the first time you might have been able to craft it, since you might not have been able to get it during the event. So if you want to get it for that purposes, just for completion purposes, you might want to. Do keep in mind that that kingdom does have 2 mythics. So if you already have the other one, you might just want to wait on this one. It's completely useless. You would only get it for completion purposes, and this would be one of the last mythics you would really ever go for. But I believe this is the first time he's been around since release a couple months ago, so do be wary of that. Anyways, let's just go over a few teams real quick for some stuff this week. First thing I want to go over is, let's see, these were both for the event. I think I already showed both of these. This is the double Suladin team. I believe it's the one I just used. Yes, it is. The other one that I had here is the Dawnbringer variant of it. With one of them, Alchemist, the Dawnbringer, and Holy Saint Astra. You can also just run it with Double General and Dawnbringer to Holy Saint Astra. Depends if you have 1 or 2, depending on how far you bought into the packs. This one I actually wanted to use. This is Orpheus is Verse. This is the new weapon that ended up coming in that you can buy through either gems or diamonds through Soulforge, which does remind me of one other thing I wanted to mention real quick from Soulforge. Don't forget the weapons. I just forgot about the weapons. There's only one, which is probably why I forgot, and it's completely useless. But If you haven't gotten Golden Sun, if you want it for completion purposes, it is in Soulforge. And yeah, you can go use some resources on that and go get that. It's a completely useless weapon, but you won't be able to get it for like another 7 months or something. So if you want to get it just to complete out your gallery, do keep in mind that that's right there. That's the only one that seems to be here right now, though, other than Orpheus' verse, but you can just get that with gems through the invasion event this week. Anyways, back to PvP and using this weapon. This, of course, is the weapon that you get from invasions this week, or you could just simply buy it with diamonds if you want to go down that route. It's very similar to a lot of the other weapons that exist these days, where it's based on a certain type, does a bunch of damage to them, and is boosted based on that type, as well as creating a bunch of gems, in this case, blue and yellow. One pretty noteworthy thing about it is it has Enchanted and Bless. This combination, some of you may know, is pretty powerful, given that Life and Death has the same combo, and it is extremely annoying to deal with. This weapon, not as good. Life and Death's still better than it. However, this will have some synergy into the future, as it does have a really good synergy with humans, since it can just create so much mana very quickly. And due to Queen Jezebel and other similar humans, you can just stack out pretty quick as far as options. So we can just go and get this pretty much the full mana, due to how much it spawns, almost always going to gain that extra turn. And then we can just simply keep spamming Queen Jezebel. And one nice thing about doing this is we can actually keep doing damage using this troop, without ever getting rid of its bless, by just simply giving it the cast right here. So give it that cast, boom, it goes and does its thing. It'll just get re-blessed whenever we cast itself, and then we can keep using its attack value by not necessarily taking skulls, but by simply using Queen Jezebel on it, and that will not break his bless, even though we're using its attack value to do damage to them. So a nice little thing that we can end up doing with that. Other than that, we can also bless our entire team just by casting this. Not only will it help us not die, but it'll also give an enchant to all humans, which obviously is our entire team in trying to utilize this. And into the future, as more humans get added to the game and more synergies within them, we'll be able to utilize that for this combination as well. Red-purple, particularly the purple of it, is a color that most humans do not actually cover as well. So you'll be able to fill the gaps within human teams to be able to cover those colors. But overall, it looks like it's going to have a lot of potential. I haven't found anything excessively broken with it yet. There's obviously better Queen Jezebel teams out there than this at this moment in time. However, it's still a nice option to consider, and the fact that it has Bless Enchant, any weapon that ever gets that, is always going to be a relatively relevant weapon. Other than that, Sunken Fleet, the restriction is blue and red, so you can get away with Forest Troll, Double King Gob Truffle, and a cleansing weapon, or just any offensive weapon. Obviously with Warden, so you have both Green Storm and Dispel, though you could use other options depending on what you need a level. And yeah, this team is really devastating right now. King Gob Truffle is not getting nerfed based on what they said, so yeah, it is really strong and definitely be using it. It upscales through the entirety of Delves. There is quite literally no Delve battle, even all the way up to 500, it can take. Ideally, you'd have potions, but if you're doing it through the event, which is tomorrow, and not through the Delve itself, then yeah, you will have potion effects for as you're progressing. So yeah, easily just auto-win the entirety of Delves, assuming you just go get those Gob Truffles. And of course, you can get Gob Truffle off of the most recent faction of Amethyrax, just by throwing your Chaos Shards at the portal there. And other than that, for the Warpriest event, there isn't really too much good underneath the human category within Leonis Empire, so your best bet is basically just going through Falconers. Not only does it have a summon, it has half mana start, and it goes all in on red. So there's two different ways you could do this. You could do this with Mang, or you can do this with Dawnbringer. Obviously, if you have Dawnbringer, that'd be really good for lower levels. Just clear those out. Otherwise, you could pretty much just do it with Mang, especially if you're going to the higher levels, and just using it with Titan, and just get all your mana generation you need. One single red shirt's almost full mana, due to how much extra mana you're getting between the banner and the fact that each one of these Falconers has a stacking +1 red. So you easily just be able to get that done, and should be a relatively easy event. As far as the event, again, it is Warpriest, so you might not necessarily want to do it too far. Pretty useless hero class. You could try doing this with Warpriest, but do keep in mind you will be sacrificing the half mana start if you do end up doing that for a little bit of extra XP like that. But anyways, guys, I'll wrap it up for this video. If you still have any other questions about the event or anything else Gems of War related, please feel free to leave it in the comment section below. Thank you all so much for watching, and have a wonderful week. Goodbye, everyone.